You look at your life, and you have, as Holly said, you've been sort of terribly honest, and there are moments there. Do you think, oh my goodness me, you know, so this must have been very emotionally difficult for you to revisit? You've talked about your stepfather who sexually abused you at a very, very young age. You've said that you couldn't really write the book until your mother wasn't necessarily around to read it, but in her latter years, she said she knew about that.
Well, you know, it's very clear in the book. It isn't. I mean, there was something that she admitted to me at the end, but that she tried. It is this constant trying to reach each other that she and I both were. It's a handed down history, both from my grandmother and my great-grandmother, of missed communication, of hurts and wounds that you never talk about, so they never heal. And when you think you've tried, didn't I try? I did try. But that's so, when you grow up, and certainly they did in the generation of women they came from, we're really revealing your innermost pains, and shameful parts that feel shameful are almost impossible to verbalize. So it is also hopefully a picture of that handed down heritage that's very difficult to get over.
But that sort of acceptance of yourself, that sort of pattern of abuse, that kind of getting used to the way things were back then, I mean, it's kind of very current now. You talk about in the book the casting couch, that there was a very well-known director that forced you to kiss him and that asked you to show him your breasts. Writing that, there was a line in there that you say that it's a pattern and that you don't see yourself as being a victim in that. Is that all part of that same thing where you just get used to it?
No, I don't. I'm not saying that people should get used to it. The reason I even wrote about that episode and several other episodes, it's that they and the circumstances that I kept finding myself in were preformed ruts in my road. In other words, I had a survival mechanism in my childhood, and as people do, I would find myself in situations that were similar to my childhood, and I was blinded to them because I was used to it. I was, you know, you head towards, or you find yourself in situations that are repeating themselves because they are comfortable, not because they are productive or good places to be. I was used to it. I knew what that was. I had been there before. I grew up in it.
Yeah.
And we should touch upon Burt Reynolds, this very important relationship. Because because if Smokey and the Bandit, you looked at it and I think you wrote in your diary, this is a terrible, shocking script. But
it's a piece of poop.
What did he say when he phoned you, first of all, the first contact you had down the phone?
I think he said something like, I know this is a piece of poop. That did begin it, but he said he thought we could sort of ad-lib our way through it. And oddly enough, he told me I had just done my first sort of film, and I thought, because I was wondering, why does he want? It was impossible for me to get a role in a film, and yet he was calling me to be in this film, and I couldn't figure out why. And then he said he always loved me in Gidget, and I thought, he loved me in Gidget, and that's why he wants to have me sit next to him and for a whole film, you know. So
But when you met him, when you met up, it was, and there was an instantaneous, I think is the word you use, connection.
Yes, absolutely. I think I used that very word, instantaneous and intense. And I also said we were a perfect match of flaws.
Right.
We went together very well, but not necessarily for the right reasons.
Yeah.
We just, both of us felt, and again, it was a preformed rut in my road where I say in the book many times, if I could have been different, would he have been different? And I think you get lost in the reality of the day. You're reacting to things that didn't really that didn't just happen.
But he was very
happened a long time
controlling,
ago.
though, wasn't he?
He was who he was, and a man of his time, and needed the women that he was with to represent him in a certain way. And but would he have been different if I could have said, "Don't do that. I don't like it." But I couldn't. I couldn't be myself. I was absent from. I was behaving the way I was taught, and that is to be loved, I had to disappear.
Yeah.
So I disappeared.
He passed away, I think it was just 12 weeks before the book came out.
I think it was 4 days.
Only
my
4
gosh.
days.
It was very, very close. It was kind of horrifying
Yeah.
that it was so close. And I certainly never wanted to hurt him any more than I already had. And I knew this book would hurt him, even though I try to paint him as a colorful human being that he was. So I don't know. He will always be in my heart and my history. He will never not be there.